other team drops the touchdown pass.
And that kind of epitomizes what has transpired all year long for these teams. Bill Parcells looking in. And it won't help your quarterback efficiency rating. And we'll show you those quarterback efficiency ratings in a moment. First down at the 17-yard line for Cincinnati. Their third possession. They have done nothing with the ball. Jeff Query goes in motion. Harold Green, 1 or 2 yards. Dwayne Sabb stuffed the play right near the line of scrimmage. Here are the quarterback efficiency ratings brought to you by Natural Gas. Montana, as you would expect, on top. He matches up with the number 2 man, Elway. Second game of our doubleheader today. And then way down the list, the 2 young quarterbacks. Klingler, who has been improving, and Bledsoe, who got quite an education, throwing 5 interceptions in the second half against Pittsburgh. Yet they were still in a position to win the game.
You might as well throw in Rick Meyer, the young quarterback from Seattle, in that group as well. He's right down there with Bledsoe and Klingler.
The delay to Green. Maybe another yard. It'll be 3rd and 7, and Kenny Anderson's philosophy enters again.
Well, I think that Kenny's going to have to start throwing the football on first down, though, because the Patriots are coming out on the early downs and playing an 8-man front, basically daring Kenny Anderson and David Klingler to try to throw the football. They know that the Bengals are not wanting to take a lot of chances. They don't have their featured wide receiver, Carl Pickens, here, so they're really going to load up on Harold Green and Derek Finner in the backfield.
They need the 27. Fenner, very conservative play, 3 yards shy, and Cincinnati will punt it away. Chris Slade, Andre Tippett there defensively for the Patriots, and
you don't suppose these two teams watched that Jets-Washington game yesterday, did you?
Don't even say that.
We're not going to do that, because really the nice part, though, here is that they haven't torn up the little Patriot guy in the middle of the field here. You know, they've just been kind of moving it and then punting it over top of the Patriot helmet in the center of the field. So, you know, maybe that's good. We have field conservation in this game.
Yes. I know the grounds crew was concerned about that. Ronnie Harris back deep, and the wind holds this up. Harris was a blip on your screen that disintegrated. Leonard Wheeler ran him over. The only problem for Leonard is that Harris had not yet received the football.
But it was a good hit.
It was a great hit.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you got to just, you don't give any chances for a hit like this. So you go down the field, what the heck? Let me give him a little elbow to the head.
Do you know what, though? He might have been blocked into him.
He got blocked into it, and I think the officials are going to take a look at that, and if that's the case, it will not be a penalty.
Terry Ray might have blocked him.
Remember, the kicking team was blocked into the man that was trying to make a fair catch. Therefore, there is no foul. Receiving team's ball, first down.
Very impressive, Drew Goodman. You'll see the block. It's really a block in the back as well. It maybe should have been a penalty on the Patriots, and just threw Leonard Wheeler right into the receiver, and consequently, no foul.
So Ronnie Harris gathers himself, and the Patriots will have the football in good field position. Two low-scoring teams with no points on the board as of yet. 1:35 left in the first quarter. Drew Goodman, Chris Collinsworth. Drew Bledsoe, the top pick in the draft. Rick Meyer, the number 2 pick. And there's a comparison of the two. Very similar. Bledsoe has not played as many games as Meyer because he was dinged up a little bit, missed a couple of ball games, but similar numbers. Brisby to the 38-yard line. First down, New England. Brisby, the second-round pick out of Northeast Louisiana, pickup of 18.
And every once in a while, you'll see a throw from Drew Bledsoe that makes you realize why he was the number 1 pick in the draft. Takes 3 steps and just drills it right between the numbers for Vincent Brisby. It's a good, sharp, clean throw, and one that Drew Bledsoe needed to get him on track. I believe his first completion of the day. Second.
Leonard Russell trying to find a hole. Will have a couple of yards to the 34-yard line. He's been the workhorse early. Tim Crumry and Mike Fryer made the tackle defensively.
You know, Leonard Russell needs only 29 yards today to pass Steve Grogan and move into the 10th place on the Pats all-time rushing list. Interesting that a running back would have to pass a quarterback, but Steve Grogan was certainly one of the best at pulling that thing down and taking off and picking up a big first down.
Inside handoff, it's Kevin Turner, and he has just a yard or two. Scott Brumfield, big offensive lineman, is being taken to the locker room for Cincinnati. He's walking under his own power, but we'll get an update as to what his injury is. Bill Parcells yesterday, he looked great, looked very comfortable and pleased, despite the fact that his team was 1-11. He says, we're coming along, and he really looked like a content man yesterday afternoon. No score at the end of the first chapter from Foxborough. On my front door stoop. Do you have one of those at home, Chris?
No, not quite like that. But Dave Shula made the guys go in and get their long cleats on before the start of this ball game, because this is a very muddy track out here this afternoon, and that's really the only way you can get those things clean.
Third down and 5 for Bledsoe. They go on the ground straight ahead. Russell will be short of the first down by about a yard. Tim Crumry defeated Mike Arthur, his former sparring partner, and made the tackle.
And now you've got a tough decision for Bill Parcells. You have a field goal kicker in Scott Sisson, who his longest kick is 40 yards on the season, kicking directly into the wind.
I don't think this is a tough decision. We talked to Bill Parcells yesterday, and he is not very pleased, shall we say, with Scott Sisson, his rookie kicker.
They're going for it.
They need a yard. 3 tight ends. Russell, first down, 35-yard line. Leonard Russell's Bill Parcells kind of back, isn't he, Chris?
He really is. Back in the old mold of O.J. Anderson with the Giants. He's not real flashy. He's not going to break a lot of long runs. But when it gets down to 4th and 1 and crunch time, you put 235 pounds of man out there on the corner, and more often than not, you're going to pick it up. That's been one of the problems for the Patriots this season, is trying to convert some of those 4th down in very short situations. They could have won a couple of games had they done it, most notably last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers at the end of that game.
Bledsoe got a man to the 1-yard line. Incomplete. Again, it was Michael Timpson. And Mike Grimm was the closest pursuer for the Bengals.
Very strange. Timpson looked like he began to fade away from the ball, and then all of a sudden it went back the other way, and he missed it short. Well, that's 2 balls that he's had right in his hands that could have given the Patriots at least a 10-point lead in this ball game.
He got short elbows all of a sudden. You wonder if the wind might have manipulated the football. In any event, that's one obviously you have to have. The delay, Corey Kroom, not much doing, 24-yard line. It'll set up a 3rd down for the Patriots. Let's get it to New York. Here's Jim Lampley. Jim?
Drew, the Giant ground game is pounding the run-leaky Colts. Rodney Hampton had 88 yards and a touchdown in the first quarter. So in the second, Bill Sims throws that 17-yard strike to Chris Callaway. The Giants botched the PAT, but they lead the Colts 13-0 already in the second. Back to Drew Goodman.
Well, Bill Parcells doesn't mention the Giants around the New England Patriots. Never wears his rings.
Right.
New team, different franchise. Bledsoe on 3rd down. Has a first down to 82, Vincent Brisby. He hooked up in front of Mike Grimm, pick up a 10. That's what they needed.
And they've really been happy with Vincent Brisby. Did a good job of knowing where the first down marker was here, driving beyond the line, and then coming back for the football, then leaning back over for the first down. Looked like a veteran on the play. The rookie has played very well. They've been very impressed with both Brisby and Ray Crittenden who came in here as rookies. Neither one of those guys a whole lot of experience, but over the course of the season, they've proven they can play in this league.
2 tight ends are in. They go to Kroom. He's trying to get to the corner, and he will not. Ricardo McDonald chased him down, the former Pitt star.
You know, he grew up in Jamaica, wanted to be a cricket player. He claims that he was a pretty good one growing up in Jamaica. Never saw a football game until 1981, the Super Bowl that year between the Bengals and the 49ers. And he says, to be honest with you, I still don't know all the rules of the game of football, but he knows how to go get those running backs.
You know what? You ever watch cricket? That's an event you can show up late for and not miss anything. Those things go on for 3 or 4 days. In the backfield, Daniel Stubbs wraps up Kroom. Stubbs, who's more of a pass rusher, makes the play in the backfield.
Stubbs is the all-time leading sacker for the Miami Hurricanes and gets good penetration here and able to bring down Kroom in the backfield. Boy, that's the kind of big plays defensively that the Bengals have been looking for all season long. They're very happy to have John Copeland, number 92, back in their lineup today as well. Their number 1 pick, who's finally coming back after that knee injury.
Play number 11 on this drive. They need the 5-yard line. Bledsoe underneath will be a couple yards shy. Corey Kroom circled out of the backfield. Darrell Williams, Ricardo McDonald put the leather on him. And here comes Scott Sisson.
Bill Parcells now deciding that it is time to go for the field goal. He's seeing what kind of a game this is going to be. Very little offense. 2 teams with a great deal of difficulty scoring. Going to try and ring up 3 here.
27-yarder. He's only 9 of 13 inside 30 yards. It's been a struggle for the rookie from Georgia Tech.
Oh, no.
And he might have missed that. Yes. Sisson has missed again, and Bill Parcells can only shake his head. We remain scoreless.
He might go shake Sisson.
It has not been a good year for the rookie Scott Sisson. He misses from 27 yards, his 5th miss inside 30 yards this year. No confidence, and here's the reaction of his head coach Bill Parcells as he walked off the field.
All right, lip readers, have fun.
Well, Chris, you want to take that one?
Not me, baby.
All right. Meanwhile, back out on the field, no score, 20-yard line. The Bengals have it as we have 10:04 left in the second quarter. Harold Green, 3 yards off tackle. Well, you know what? You really have to feel for Scott Sisson. Last week, or a couple of weeks ago, there was open tryouts for the place kicking short, and there will be again. Home of Missin Sisson. See, that's tough. And that has to weigh on your mind. He just needs to put a string together of successful kicks if he gets the opportunity. I think to Gary Anderson, who was cut by the Buffalo Bills, wound up in Pittsburgh and is headed for the Hall of Fame.
Well, let's not put Sisson in that category.
Well, I'm just trying to help the guy.
I hear you, I know.
Klingler goes sidearm, and it's complete. Patrick Robinson. He looked like Dan Quisenberry there.
Kent Colby, maybe. David Klingler drops down and gets it in there the only way possible. Watch, he literally throws this one almost underhand. And
that was underhand.
I mean to tell you, we are seeing a show so far here in New England. Great play by David Klingler.
First down, 31-yard line.
Well, you just never know what you're going to get when you go with 2 1-11 teams.
They're playing tight, obviously, Chris.
Yes.
Klingler, 3-step drop, 40-yard line. Good catch. It's Robinson again. Rod Smith was right there to make the play.
All right. Nice catch there by Patrick Robinson. He knew he was going to get hit on the play. Filling in for Carl Pickens. Comes down inside. Catches it. Boom. Takes a shot to the ribs. Holds on. Good play. After returning punts his entire career, that probably seems like not much of anything. I used to return punts in college. You talk about one of the scariest things in one's lifetime when that thing's coming down and you can hear the thundering herd.
No, thank you. Second and short. Klingler play action. Wants a bunch. Got a man. Query, and he overthrows him. Query had 3 strides on Maurice Hurst, the best corner man for New England. That's one you got to fit in there, isn't it?
Really, the pressure on David Klingler is what made him throw this just a step before he wanted to. Had to step up in the pocket. Tippett was closing in on him, and he had to release that one fairly quickly. Jeff Query can really run, but he couldn't track down that one. That was a good 3 or 4 yards overthrown, but you can see Jeff Query way in behind Maurice Hurst, who is a very, very good cornerback in this league.
3rd and a yard. Fenner very close. It looks like the forward lean will be enough for a first down. Derek Fenner, who had an outstanding couple of seasons up in Seattle, scored a bunch of touchdowns a couple of years ago. Out of North Carolina. Picked up on Plan B by David Shula.
They didn't get a very generous spot of the ball. I thought that Derek Fenner had made that first down fairly easily, but now looking at where they've marked it on the field, it looks like they may even be a little short. Here you go.
Oh, an extra link.
The last kick.
The extra link.
All right.
And that's frustrating for David Shula. He thought he had the first down, and you're on your own side of the 50-yard line.
Oh, what the heck. Give it a shot here.
Yeah, I mean, the worst you can be is 1 and 12 at the end of the day.
And get the #1 draft pick. There's Jimmy McNally, the offensive line coach, probably suggesting a short yardage play.
They're going to go. David Klingler staying on the field. Well, do you go with the quarterback sneak, or do the Bengals learn something from the New England Patriots last week?
I don't think so. You've got 2 big backs in Harold Green and Derek Fenner. I think one of those 2 guys gets the ball here in that situation. They're in a torn-up part of the field, though. We'll have to watch to see how well the offensive linemen can get their footing here.
They like to run over the left side with Tom Scott, the rookie, who goes about 345 or so. That's where they go, and Fenner over the top for the first down. Scott and Ken Moyer found a little bit of a push, and Derek Fenner went over the top before Ray Agnew could grab him.
Well, Derek Fenner was Mr. Touchdown for the Seattle Seahawks. In 1990, he led the AFC with 14 rushing touchdowns, and you saw a little bit of the reason why. Great leaping ability, and once they got down on the goal line, very capable of getting up over the top.
Green puts his head down and gets about 2 or 3. Let's head back to New York, south of here, and Jim Lampley.
Drew, don't feel put upon about your scoreless game. Here's another one. The Buffalo B-movie offense drives to the Philly 6. But alas, Jim Kelly, scrambling to the right, picks out Eric Allen, the Philly DB, between the 2 Buffalo receivers. It remains 0-0 in the vet. Back to Drew Goodman and Chris Collinsworth.
That was quite a strike.
It was a good setup by Lampley. I thought he'd thrown a touchdown pass and hit Eric Allen.
He had us,
the numbers.
He had us fooled. 2nd down and 8. Klingler, David Fritz can't hang on. Andre Tippett was very close.
And there's another play in which the Bengals don't quite get it yet. That's the old Y option play that Danny Ross used to run in Cincinnati to perfection. As a matter of fact, Danny, who lives in the Boston area, is here at the ball game today. But the Bengals just don't seem to have these kinds of plays timed out very well, and that's what they're going to be working on very hard during the course of the offseason. That man right there could throw that pattern as well as anybody who ever played the game.
3rd down. They need the 47-yard line of New England. There's another sidearm jump. Alan DeGraffenreid still without his first career reception. The rookie free agent out of Ohio State. He was a walk-on at OSU, and here he finds himself playing in the NFL.
He may be back as a walk-on at OSU if he continues to drop balls like this. David Klingler with another sidearm shot. You see the head going upfield a little bit early, and you don't catch many that you don't see.
Ronnie Harris back deep. Lee Johnson will hit it about his own 35. High snap, he drops the ball. And Johnson does a great job in getting it away. And it'll go out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. And there's a flag down as well. A punt of 44 yards. Great improvisation by Johnson as it went from rags to riches.
But Lee Johnson is going to be called for the guy downfield, of course, anytime the timing is off like that. But you remember last week, the Bengals were ahead of the San Francisco 49ers 8-7 as they started in the second half, and Lee Johnson did not.
Was a member of the kicking team, number 50, that was downfield before the ball was kicked. 5-yard penalty, repeat fourth down.
It's James Francis down the field a little bit early. But Lee Johnson did not get the call on a fake punt. Watch, Lee just drops this one last week and thought the fake was still on. It had been called off at the line of scrimmage. The 49ers took over on downs after the blown play, took it in for the go-ahead touchdown, and it really wasn't a game after that. So this is back-to-back weeks problems for Lee Johnson.
Chris, I hate to say this, but neither team so far doing much to dispel the notion that they should be anything but 1-11.
No argument.
5:48 to go before halftime with Chris Collinsworth. I'm Drew Goodman, and Cincinnati will try again. And Johnson gets off a pretty good kick, a very good kick. Harris back to his 5-yard line.
Here comes another lecture. Another lecture from Bill Parcells. You fielded inside the 5. Oh, my.
Punt of 55, return of 7.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Hager Wrinkle-Free Cotton Pants. 100% cotton, 0% wrinkles. By Geo, inviting you to get to know the new Geo Prism. Available only at your Chevrolet Geo dealers. By Keystone, Keystone Light, and Keystone Dry. Bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great? And by Wendy's Old-Fashioned Hamburgers. The best hamburgers and a whole lot more.
Well, if you don't like the action on the field, as the saying goes, Bill Parcells says he has a group of players, a core group of players that he really does like, and believes that they are not that far away. Likes his offensive line, and behind his offensive line, Leonard Russell weaves for about 5 or 6 out to the 20-yard line before Daniel Stubbs could make the tackle.
Well, that was a tough transition there, going from the cheerleaders to the very handsome, I might add, Bill Parcells. But
yes. Nice segue there. I was going to say something like the play on the field hasn't been that pretty, but...
Yeah, Bill hasn't been leading any cheers in this one either.
Russell will be a couple of yards shy of a first down. Again, it was Stubbs. And Tim Crumry also there. So Daniel Stubbs very active in the running game. They're very thin up front. The defensive line, Roosevelt Nix is out of there. He is injured. In fact, Tom Raham, a former starting guard this year, is now listed as a backup at defensive end for Cincinnati. That is just how thin they are. And John Copeland is playing with a banged-up knee. 3 tight ends come in on 3rd down and 2. Scoreless, 4:25, clock moving in the second quarter. Russell has the corner, good block. 74, the veteran Rich Baldinger really collapsed the corner. Crumry and Williams made the tackle, first down for the Patriots. Coming up next on most of these NBC stations, it's game 2 of our NFL doubleheader, and it'll be a good one. John Elway against Joe Montana and the Kansas City Chiefs. And if the Chiefs win this ball game and the Raiders were to lose, the Chiefs would clinch the AFC West. That will be immediately following this one for most of you. 30-yard line for Russell. Mike Grimm made the tackle. Bill Parcells is shortening the game as he once did with the Giants. The only problem is he has no points on the scoreboard as of yet.
Well, he really should have. They had a couple of opportunities. Michael Timpson has dropped 2 in this game. And then, of course, Scott Sisson misses the 27-yard field goal. But you see, points have been a bit of a rarity for these two ball clubs during the course of this season.
Interesting, though, New England has outgained 6 of their last 8 opponents. So they've moved it. They just can't get it in the end zone. Incomplete. Timpson again, the intended target. Brim, again, the defender.
What a difference Mike Brim has made for the Cincinnati Bengals this year. Last season, this Bengals secondary was burned repeatedly as Ron Lynn, the defensive coordinator, kept trying to blitz, but Mike Brim came over as a free agent from the Jets and has been making plays like that the entire season for the Cincinnati Bengals. That and the addition, Rod Jones playing much better on the other side as well.
Now, Chris, is that a pass where Bledsoe glued in on his primary and should have come off him?
No, not really, because of the fact it looked like they just had hand coverage out there.
First down, 41-yard line. Again, they pick on Brim, and Timpson is able to hold on to this one, an advance of 11 yards.
Well, here's what I like. Drew Bledsoe goes right back to Michael Timpson. He just got beat on the play before by Mike Brim. He has 2 big drops in this ball game so far, but he's a big play guy, and you want to get him the football. You want him to be comfortable in the football game, so they've been trying to work it back to him. Probably calls by Ray Perkins, Bill Parcells on the sideline, realizing they need to get him comfortable in the game again.
Rapidly moving first half, 2:25 to go. Bledsoe, quick throw. And Marv Cook hauls it in. 20th reception of the year. Cook been to a couple of Pro Bowls, but he is not the featured tight end any longer. It is now Ben Coates.
And he said that when he first got here, when Bill Parcells first got here, Marv Cook, the first thing he did was he went out and got a neck roll. He knew what he was going to be doing.
There you go. 2 minutes to go. First half, scoreless from New England.
The world's largest basketball tournament, 3-on-3 on the Court of Dreams, as the top team in the nation takes on NBA legends Michael Cooper, George Gervin, Bob McAdoo, and Calvin Murphy. Plus, Michael Jordan goes one-on-one with NCAA Player of the Year Cheryl Swoops. Hoop it up next Saturday on NBC.
Coming up at halftime, the Juice talks with his good friend Marcus Allen on the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. And, of course, Jim Lampley will have all the scores and highlights from today's NFL action.
Drew, this is a big moment here for the New England Patriots. They've had all kinds of opportunities here in the first half. Another good drive going. They really need to get this down in position to get some points on the board before the half.
Turner goes in motion, and Bledsoe in and out of the hands of the intended target. Timpson again, and 25, Rod Jones pulled the juggling act. We have seen that act already several times today.
Boy, oh boy, we've seen drop passes, dropped interceptions, and really a tough day so far by Michael Timpson. That should have been an easy pick by Rod Jones, and with his speed, you never know. Here's a guy that narrowly missed going to the Olympics on the 400-meter team, and if he picks this ball off, he'd have a chance.
So now it's 3rd down and 4. They have to get it across the 48-yard line on the flip side of the 50. Bledsoe goes on a delay. Second effort by Russell will be 2 yards shy. And Cincinnati calls a timeout in anticipation of getting the football. And we will use that timeout to do the same. 1:46 to go before halftime. Again, no score from Foxborough.
The Denver Broncos. It's Joe Montana versus John Elway. 2 future Hall of Famers go head-to-head in one of the biggest games of the season as 2 AFC West powers collide. Next on NBC.
Bill Parcells feeling good, a little bit thinner. He makes sure he gets in his treadmill work each day. And he is enjoying his first year, if not for the wins, but at least being around the players again. His first year at the New England Patriots. Mike Saxon, second time he has been asked to punt. And not Ray Crittenden, but Patrick Robinson back deep. Penalty flag comes in. Ball is down at the 2-yard line. Renee Thompson was down on special teams, as he has made a career of doing. Went to the Pro Bowl as a special teamer.
I don't know if Patrick Robinson may have hit somebody after calling for the fair catch signal. You're not allowed to block once you call for the fair catch signal and then don't make the catch. And I believe that's what's the penalties going to be about. Patrick Robinson raised his arms to call for the fair catch.
There was a foul on the play, unsportsmanlike conduct on the receiving team, number 81. Block after signaling fair catch. The penalty is declined, first down.
Well, it wasn't exactly a vicious block by any means by the 176 pounds Patrick Robinson. 15 yards for this.
Well, if you're going to get a 15-yard penalty, make it worth your while. So Cincinnati will see what they can do with 1:37 left, 98 yards in front of them. This is the 15th meeting between the Bengals and the Patriots. And wouldn't you know it, they've both won 7 ball games. Last year they met in Cincinnati, and the Bengals won 20-10. Harold Green had 190 yards in that affair. He's nowhere close to producing those kind of numbers yet today.
And this may be the Patriots' best chance to score. They've got their defense on the field. Maybe they can come up with 2, but they do have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. So I would imagine if Cincinnati is not successful or conservative on first down here, they'll begin to call the timeouts immediately, and we'll have a chance to get the ball back around midfield with about a minute to go in the half.
Here are the possessions for the Bengals in the first half, and all you have to do is look at the result to know what they have done. There have been no turnovers in the game. They had expected snow today. It actually snowed about ½ an inch last night. It is cold, temperature in the low to mid-30s, and maybe that's why we've seen so many drop footballs.
And the only controversy really with that graphic is how many plays before the punt.
Yeah.
Kenny Anderson, you wouldn't think would take many chances down here in his own zone. He just would like one first down so he could run out the half.
Fenner and Green in the I formation. This is the loudest the crowd's been yet today. Fenner. Maybe a yard. And now New England will use some of their timeouts. If for no other reason, perhaps to force Cincinnati into a punt situation, and maybe they can get a block and go up 2-0 at halftime.
Yeah, well, absolutely. You've got 2 timeouts remaining. You're going to end up getting the football back if they don't pick up a first down with over a minute to play in the half.
Well, next Saturday, join NBC Sports for the entire afternoon. Following NFL action, we'll bring you the world's largest street basketball tournament, including the Court of Dreams, where the street ball world champions will take on NBA legends. Plus, College Player of the Year Cheryl Swoops meets Michael Jordan for a one-on-one showdown. Then an encore performance of the U.S. Gymnastics Championships, led by 1992 Olympic all-around silver medalist Shannon Miller. Hoop it up in the U.S. Gymnastics Championships next Saturday, right here on NBC Sports. Drew Goodman with Chris Collinsworth from Foxborough, Massachusetts. In Foxborough Stadium, the New England Patriots, if they stay put in New England, would like a new stadium. Paul Tagliabue has said that it is necessary, that this facility is becoming antiquated. Bill Parcells would like to stay in the Northeast. 2nd down and 9. 1:31 left before intermission. Harold Green gets a couple. Todd Collins filled the hole from his inside linebacker position and dumped Green there.
Well, Kenny Anderson got his first mission accomplished, and that was to get the ball out over the 5-yard line. You want to give Lee Johnson, your punter, at least 15 yards to make the punt out of the end zone. You don't want to back him up. Ordinarily, punters line up 15 yards deep. So now he's got it out past the 5-yard line. I'd be very surprised to see Kenny Anderson take a chance with the very young and inexperienced David Klingler throwing the football down here, the way the Bengals defense has been playing and the way that New England's offense has been playing. You take your chances by just simply punting the football out of here.
Klingler came into the ball game over his last 3, had completed 70% of his passes. You see the numbers there, and that is since Anderson has taken over the play calling. Isn't it amazing that a guy with Kenny Anderson's talents, a guy you played with, never was able to kneel in the huddle and call his own plays?
Well, we had a pretty good one back then. Lindy and Fonnie and Bill Walsh both called plays for Kenny Anderson, so really you can't argue with either one of those two guys.
Klingler today, 3 of 8, 21 yards. We'll see if they put it up. They have a slot to the near side. They do not, and Green gets barely to the line of scrimmage. Ray Agnew, Andre Tippett there in blue.
And now you see part of the reason why Harold Green would prefer to be elsewhere. He, after making the Pro Bowl last season, averaging under 3 yards per carry this year, and he has been seeing holes like this for much of the season. This offensive line from Cincinnati has really been struggling.
You know, Cincinnati in the last 9 years, in the first 3 rounds of the draft, have taken 1 offensive lineman during that period of time. Harold Green, in speaking about that this week, said maybe next year they'll draft an offensive lineman and do the smart thing, kind of taking yet another dig after his remark 3 weeks ago about David Shula being, in his mind, the worst coach in Cincinnati Bengals history. So Harold Green is doing all he can to not play at Riverfront Stadium next year.
Well, I don't agree with him about David Shula, but I do agree with him about this offensive line. That was a desperate need for the Cincinnati Bengals a season ago in the draft, and they waited until the 5th round, I believe it was, before they took an offensive lineman. Certainly they're probably going to address it this year with both free agency and in the draft, but does very little for Harold Green and company this year.
So Lee Johnson with just a yard to spare, the back of the end zone. Ronnie Harris back around midfield, and it's a pretty good punt. Harris, 48-yard line. He'll get to the 42-yard line. So terrific field position for New England. Alex Gordon was down covering the kick. A punt of 49 yards, a return of 10 for Harris.
A nice block on the play by Vernon Lewis, number 43, came down and really set him up for an additional 5 or 6 yards. Now in comes Drew Bledsoe. Did a brilliant job a week ago in that final drive against Pittsburgh, taking his team 94 yards to literally the 6-inch line, maybe the 1-inch line away from beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now gets a chance to work a little 2-minute offense. 1:09, no timeouts remaining.
Last week he dropped 4 snaps in addition to throwing 5 interceptions, and he said, I was letting my hands separate too early, so this week he's gone to an interlocking grip.
Golfers will recognize.
Bledsoe, good protection, has Ben Coates. And Coates will have the first down before Rico McDonald and Rod Jones bring him down. Pickup of 11. And right to the line of scrimmage go the Patriots. Great run. Bledsoe inside the 15. Michael Timpson squeezed that one. 17 more yards. They have to hustle. And Bledsoe spikes the ball. 32 seconds left. All kinds of time to take several end zone shots here.
All right, very poised by Drew Bledsoe there. Comes right out, completes 2 passes in a row. Comes back, looks right, looks off the defense, then comes back left. He's starting to do some of the things that you would expect. He is beginning to have an idea of what it takes to get guys open in the National Football League. The quarterback with his eyes more often than anything else can get a guy open simply by looking that safety one way and then coming back like he did that time to Michael Timpson.
And that offensive line has done a very good job protecting Bledsoe. Only 22 sacks all year long, none last week against Pittsburgh. And they have a good pass rush. Out of bounds, Timpson, the quick out, 5 yards. Rod Jones pushed him out, and the play only took a couple of seconds.
But don't forget, you have Scott Sisson on the sideline, who's already missed one from 27. So Bill Parcells would really like to get this ball in the end zone But we've seen in the National Football League so many times during the course of the year, there's Scott Sisson, who really needs a make to get himself going, that teams go into those zone defenses down here and really give offensive problems.
Bledsoe end zone touchdown. Ben Coates, 6th touchdown of the year.
There's a flag down on the play. And Bill Parcells with another one of those pained looks on his face. Probably is going to be interference one way or another as they clap on the New England sideline, you assume, against the Bengals.
First there was a touchdown. Then there was an unsportsmanlike taunting by the passing team number 87. It's a 15-yard penalty. It will be administered on the kickoff.
8th touchdown of the year for Drew Bledsoe.
And Ben Coates at the end of this play, when he catches the touchdown, is going to spike it right in the face of Leonard Wheeler, and that's why they got the penalty. But a good catch, reaching back behind him. What a find Ben Coates has been. Now the spike right in the face of Leonard Wheeler gets the 15-yard penalty.
Absolutely unnecessary. He made a good play. Eat the football. If you're going to spike it away from a player. Scott Sisson, always an adventure.
Drum roll, please.
Yes, trying to tack on point number 7. Snap is good, and Sisson narrowly gets it through.
Little Bronx cheer as well.
Yeah. 4 of 5 on the drive for Bledsoe. 7-0. New England breaks the ice with just 25 ticks left in the first half. And Chris, how often have you seen, not only in your playing career, but also as we pick up Bledsoe's reaction here, how often have you seen a team able to move the ball in the 2-minute drill and unable really to move it the rest of the half?
Well, you know what? There comes a time on the field where you need to let the natural instincts of a player take over. And sometimes with a young quarterback, they get out there and they're thinking about so many different things. You put them in the 2-minute offense, they drop back. They're like they're playing in the backyard somewhere, and boom, 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 all of a sudden he looks like Joe Namath going down the field. And that's really what Drew Bledsoe did with that drive. He seemed to be very comfortable. The Bengals a little conservative with their defense backing up, and Drew Bledsoe very sharp. But what a find Ben Coates has been for Bill Parcells, the tight end. Marv Cook went to the Pro Bowl in 1991 and 1992 for the Patriots, and Ben Coates just simply beat him out. Now the leading receiver, the man that came up with a touchdown catch there, and that was a very difficult catch. Had to reach back with his hands in behind him, and they're very, very satisfied with Ben Coates. You get the feeling that maybe Marv Cook may not be here next year.
There's a scoring drive, 42 yards in just 44 seconds with no timeouts. Bledsoe was terrific, and Coates takes the honors. Coates out of that football mecca, Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina. Short pooch kick.
Excuse me? He fair caught the ball.
Well, he wants a free kick. He wants to allow
now somebody
Doug Pelfrey to come in and try an 88-yard field goal or something like that.
Please explain that one to me. Patrick Robinson fair caught a kickoff.
I've seen it done, but not when you have... He had plenty of running room in front of him. He had about 10 or 15 yards in front of him.
Now, there's at least 20 yards. There's nobody even in the picture. A fair catch.
And he indicated it so quickly, you wonder almost if he was instructed to do that.
If it's a punt, maybe, but not on a kick that long and low.
Maybe he got confused. Klingler. Home run ball, and broken up downfield by Terry Ray, the nickelback, the 3-year man out of Oklahoma. Alan DeGraffenried was the intended target.
Just the jump ball thrown up down the field, and DeGraffenried saw one coming. He saw the safety, Ray, running right into his face, and maybe dropped those arms a bit.
Klingler has missed his last 4 passes, just 3 of 9 in this first half. New England leading it 7-0. 17 seconds left in the half. And they go on the ground, and collared immediately was Derek Fenner. 96, Brent Williams. Used to be a starter, and he makes the play, and the first half expires in Foxborough, and the battle between 2-1 and 11 teams. Right now, the Patriots have the upper hand, 7-0. Let's get it to New York. Here's Jim Lampley.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's Pizza, where you always get great pizza, plus something for nothing.
We welcome those of you who have been watching the game in Foxborough. Maybe it's the Marshall Faulk Bowl, maybe it's the Heath Schuler Bowl. At any rate, New England suddenly takes the lead at the end of the first half. Meanwhile, we take you to the Meadowlands Giants Stadium, where the New York Giants have a 13-6 halftime lead over the Colts in a game in which the Colts can't seem to stop the Giants' runners, and the Giants have trouble stopping the Colts' passes. Dan Reeves' team looking for a 5th straight win and clinching a playoff berth today if they get it. Rodney Hampton runs for 16 yards down to the Indy 1-yard line in the first quarter. He scored on the next play to put the Giants ahead 7-0. Hampton went over 100 yards rushing in the first half. Second quarter, they mix it up with the passing game. From the 17-yard line, Sims with a perfect strike over good coverage to Chris Callaway. That made it 13-0 Giants. PAT was botched. But the Colts came back as Jeff George completed his first 8 passes and 11 of his first 13. Here he goes deep to Jesse Hester. Hits him on the dead run for 58 yards down to the New York 13. That set up a Biasucci 20-yard field goal. Another Biasucci field goal later narrowed the margin to 13-6. And early on, Mike, it looked as though the Giants were going to run him out of the stadium, but Jeff George keeps them in there.
Well, they're going to run him out of the stadium eventually because Dan Reeves is going to keep running the ball, pound it down your throat until you don't like it anymore. Then he'll use Sims to pass it around a little bit. But he's going to do what you have to do to win, and he got a great offensive line. He's got good running backs. He'll run it on them all day.
The Giants of Dan Reeves, Joe, looking not at all unlike the Giants of Bill Parcells did.
I'm starting to say I'm having flashbacks here. Running the football and a precise pass from Phil Sims. That reminds me of something.
On a very cold day in
right.
Giants Stadium. Meanwhile, on a warm day in Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers lead the Chicago Bears 10-3 at halftime. The one Tampa Bay touchdown set up by a long punt return on the part of Courtney Hawkins. Butler's 55-yard field goal got Chicago on the board. The Houston Oilers lead the Cleveland Browns in the Astrodome 16-10 in the second quarter. Houston looking for its 8th consecutive victory. Vinny Testaverde and the Browns wanting to get Eric Metcalf involved in the offense early. He wasn't a big factor in their 27-20 loss earlier to the Oilers. But here, on Cleveland's first possession, he beats Wilbur Marshall into the secondary, goes 49 yards with that pass from Testaverde, and the Browns led 7-0 at that point. 10-0 Cleveland later in the first. Warren Moon missed his first 5 passes, but here he gets protection and hits former Brown Webster Slaughter for 27 yards to the Brown 8. That set up a Del Greco field goal that made it 10-3. At 10-6 Cleveland, Moon with a play-action fake, eludes pressure and finds Spencer Tillman all alone in the end zone for a 4-yard TD. That made it 13-10 Houston. Since then, another Del Greco field goal extends the lead to 16-10. In the vet in Philadelphia, Buffalo continues to sputter on offense. The Bills in the first half saw Kelly throw 2 interceptions, one of them in the end zone. He also lost a fumble. Steve Christie missed 2 field goals. Thurman Thomas has been knocked out of the game with a bruised forearm. It is zip-zip at halftime, Bills and Eagles. Los Angeles Rams got 125 first quarter rushing yards from rookie Jerome Bettis, then lost him with a bruised abdomen. New Orleans has gone ahead of the Rams 13-10 at halftime in the Superdome. Cincinnati and New England, as you know, 7-0 New England leading on the Bledsoe to Ben Coates touchdown pass. Parcells playing it pretty close to the vest. At that point, Bledsoe had only thrown 5 passes, Mike.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bill's not going to change his game plan. I mean, that's the way he coaches. He's coached very well this year. I know the record shows 1-11. You know, if they could put 7 points, add 7 points to the total output per game, that team would be a playoff team right now. And I think Bill understands that, so he's not going to shoot himself in the foot and say, hey, I'm doing the wrong thing. He's doing the right thing. He'll keep running the ball, and he'll throw it sparingly.
What would it do for the Bengals players' confidence in head coach Dave Shula, Joe, if they can beat an established coach with the background of Bill Parcells?
Well, I think it could be a big step for them. After all, Cincinnati's in real trouble. We sympathize with coaches like this with 1 wins. Bill Parcells is right on the verge. I would bet on these guys next year really turning around. I think Cincinnati's got a lot farther to go.
Yeah, New England has been so close in so many games, they could conceivably have had 6 or 7 wins by this point. One note from our Will McDonough. Steve DeBerg, it turns out, will start tomorrow night's game for Miami against Pittsburgh. Scott Mitchell not sufficiently healed from his separated shoulder, although Mitchell will back up DeBerg. This underlines the wisdom of our Mike Ditka, who told us a week ago that DeBerg would start that game. Up next, we'll hear from the Chiefs' Marcus Allen. That's after a message from the National Football League and words from your local station.
Tonight, NBC presents a match.
And welcome back to Foxborough Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Drew Goodman along with Chris Collinsworth. 15th meeting between these two teams. The Bengals have won 3 in a row, but right now they find themselves trailing 7-0. Here's the Coors Light Silver Bullet halftime statistics, and the big disparity comes in passing yards, and most of those yards came on the final 2-minute drive. Drew Bledsoe was 4 of 5 during that time.
Really a first half dominated by the New England Patriots. The Bengals unable to do much of anything offensively. And I don't think that's that big of a surprise. New England has been playing very well on the defensive side of the ball. Last week they held the Steelers to just 33 yards in the second half. So clearly the Bengals with their work cut out.
Sisson kicks it off deep. And Patrick Robinson from the 9. Patrick Robinson to the fast lane. To the 49-yard line. Much better when he opts to return the ball as opposed to calling a fair catch. Seems to get more yards.
He may have gotten a little coaching in at halftime from Dave Shula and Marv Braden, the special teams coach. But he is a very dynamic guy. The Houston Oilers really did not want to lose Patrick Robinson, and now you can see the reason why. Once he finds a little hole, a great burst of speed, and it's part of the reason you like the smaller guys on the return teams, because they are able to accelerate so much more quickly.
Well, Scott Sisson, who has struggled with his field goals, made the tackle. So good field position, midfield after the 41-yard return from the former Tennessee State star. Klingler, 3-step drop. And behind Harold Green with Vincent Brown closing. You don't want to throw it behind him.
And I think what Kenny Anderson is now feeling is that this team is not going to be able to run the football against the New England Patriots defense. Both Harold Green and Derek Finner averaged just 2.2 yards per carry in that first half. So they're going to try to get them the football in other ways, just dropping back, throwing the quick passes.
The defense for the Patriots has played better and better as the season has progressed. They've been in every game. Klingler. Patrick Robinson was the intended target. Rod Smith had him blanketed. And a flag has come in. Rod Smith was celebrating like
he
it
shouldn't
was,
have been, because it's going to go against Rod Smith.
Yeah.
Pass interference by the defense, number 22. Automatic first down.
Rod Smith was a strong safety in college. He's been starting the last couple of games at the cornerback position. Started 5 games in total this season. He comes up and just gets wrapped up, the wide receiver, with every chance. Smith may have gotten the benefit of that call had he been looking for the football, but by just having his eyes focused in on the receiver, didn't get the call.
Klingler, Scott Query, and he misses him again. Query ran the stop-and-go route, and again he was open. And Jeff Query a little bit frustrated because in the first half, he was streaking free for a touchdown, and the ball was overthrown.
That's 2 that the Bengals have had. And when you are 1-11, and when you are struggling on offense, you cannot afford to miss those throws. David Klingler has missed 2 touchdowns in this ballgame.
And he's missed his last 6 passes. Second-year man out of the University of Houston, where he set all sorts of NCAA records. Harold Green met by Vincent Brown. Hello.
And now you see why Harold Green wants out of Cincinnati. They are just, nobody even touches Vincent Brown on that play. An inside linebacker just shot the gap, and Bill Parcells said that here's a guy that could dominate if he had a few better players around him. The defensive line, not a strong point for the New England Patriots. John Washington, Mike Pitts playing at the tackle position, but Vincent Brown, an excellent inside linebacker.
I'll tell you a story about Vincent Brown after this snap. 3rd and 13 for the Bengals. They need the 29. Klingler's going to be sacked. Aaron Jones, the former number 1 out of Eastern Kentucky. Guy who's been bounced around the league. Came in as a pass rusher, and he got to the quarterback there. So the promising field position
Patrick Robinson running a crossing route over the middle of the field really was wide open, and David Klingler just was unable to find him. Robinson waving his arms and hoping for the football, but David Klingler had problems of his own with Aaron Jones.
Ronnie Harris back deep. Lee Johnson will punt it away. Great field position, but the Bengals can't do much with it. Lee Johnson kicks it into the end zone. So a 49-yard punt, but a net of only 29. 7-0. New England leading early third quarter.
On NBC is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. By ITT. When it comes to building businesses, at ITT we're adding more than just our name. By Budweiser. Beechwood Age for a crisp, clean, classic taste. And by Braun Flex Control. The first electric shaver with a pivoting head that adjusts to every contour of your face.
Patriots leading 7-0. Drew Goodman with Chris Collinsworth, and Chris's former team on the short end right now as New England has it for the first time in the second half. They had a productive ground game in the first half, and they get 5 yards on first down. Leonard Russell. Tim Crumry worked his way down the line of scrimmage. What a workhorse Crumry is. 6'2", 274. It has become cliche to call a nose tackle like Crumry an overachiever, but that is exactly what he is.
And he has been taking on double teams like that throughout much of his career, but really what is happening now is the offensive line of Bruce Armstrong and Eugene Chung and Mike Arthur up front, they're all beginning to take over and push backwards this defensive line from Cincinnati.
Russell, first down, picks his way for 6 or 7 yards. He had a fumbleitis problem early in the year, but since that time, he's been a most effective runner. And again, we spoke of it earlier, but he is in that Bill Parcells mode, 235, 240-pound runner.
We asked him about Marshall Faulk. Of course, some people have called this the Marshall Faulk Bowl. If the loser and gets the first-round pick may end up taking the outstanding running back out of San Diego State. And he said, it's really not a concern of mine. If they want to take him, fine, but it's not going to be a reflection on my talent.
Tovar grabs him, but another 5 yards on first down. Here are some of the top draft prospects. Trev Alberts, the outside linebacker for Nebraska. Faulk is terrific. I've had the pleasure of watching him play on a number of occasions. He's the real deal. Aaron Glenn, the defensive back from Texas A&M. Heath Schuler has not yet decided or announced whether he will come out. He is a junior. Aaron Taylor is an enormous offensive lineman for Notre Dame. Just some of the college prospects. Russell moves the pile, 41-yard line. Great drive blocking up front. Eugene Chung, the left guard. Mike Arthur at center. Rich Baldinger in his 13th year out of Wake Forest. The middle of that offensive line for the Patriots doing a job now.
It's really just a very simple isolation play. They're double teaming down on Tim Crumry, the nose tackle, leading through with the back, and the hole has been there off that right side the entire day. Also want to give some credit for Pat Harlow. Bill Parcells spent a lot of time talking about his big right tackle. He says basically our equipment guy has to throw him out of the locker room every day. He wants to stay and keep on working. He said you don't even need to coach that guy.
He's overcome back problems that plagued him early in his career. Now he says he feels great. Third down carry should be enough for a first down. Russell should have enough there.
Again, Tim Crumry on the tackle. Very close indeed for the first down. Probably the only time that I ever got up before the team with the Bengals and gave a speech. I gave a speech about how our team wasn't tough enough and we never got in fights on the field and nobody had any intensity out there. Well, that day at practice, Tim Crumry must have been in 17 fights. My teammates were coming over to me and said, will you please go have a talk with that idiot? Because he's tearing up everybody. We can't even practice as the Patriots pick up the first down, but he is a true man. He loves this game of football.
He's 35, and you know what he does in the offseason? He's a triathlete. He likes to. Now, that's a big swimmer right there. Here's the remaining 4 members of the Super Bowl team, Super Bowl 23. Johnson, Crumry, Kozerski, who's still playing center, and Walter, who's still lining up at right tackle. 6th consecutive carry for Leonard Russell, and look who makes the play again. 69s everywhere.
You know, another big factor that nobody will ever talk about with the Cincinnati Bengals has been the incident with the Victoria Sea thing that took place in Seattle, and it was such a horrible situation for Mike Brown and the entire Bengals organization. But what has happened since that '89 Super Bowl is a lot of those guys have been weeded out. A lot of guys that could play even have been weeded out that were involved in that, and it was really kind of a black eye for the organization.
Corey Kroom takes the handoff, and he won't get to the line of scrimmage. Good play by James Francis, the former #1 pick in 1990 out of Baylor. He's had an interception in each of the last 2 ball games. And here's what they've done since that Super Bowl year, 26-50, and they have lost 16 of their last 18 games going back to last year.
3 straight years finishing last in the division. This year they've insured themselves of that dubious mark again.
Bledsoe has it knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Crumry got a hand on it. Corey Kroom would have been the intended target. Great series for Tim Crumry. He danced with Leonard Russell about every play and then got his hand on the pass. So Crumry did his job, and the Bengals will get the football back.
And really a smart play by Tim Crumry. Just before he was going to hit Drew Bledsoe, he just threw his arms up in the air and backed up, arched his back, and that gave the official time to take a look and say, okay, no penalty on the play. It would have been really a hurtful penalty there to have a roughing the passer.
Actually, it wasn't Crumry who batted it down. It was James Francis. Patrick Robinson to the 20-yard line. Punt of 41, return of 5. 7-0. Patriots over the Bengals.
Now to his 20-yard line.
Tonight on NBC, a terrific evening for you. First at 7, 6 Central, blast into the future with George Jetson and his family on the network premiere of The Jetsons. Then NBC presents E.T., one of the most beloved movies of all time from Steven Spielberg. 2 great movies, The Jetsons and E.T., starting at 7, 6 Central tonight on NBC. With Chris Collinsworth, I'm Drew Goodman. That man is Vincent Brown, and he's made a lot of tackles, but he missed a couple in a preseason game, and Bill Parcells started calling him the Underwriter. His nickname was the Undertaker because he buried so many running backs, and he's involved or close to the play there. Parcells started calling him the Underwriter, as if he wrote insurance plans for running backs because he was so gentle with them. Vincent Brown also...
not a fun guy to shake hands with, though.
He got a big mitt. He's got a big mitt.
He's one of those guys that you can't get your thumb and your little pinky finger around his hand, so you end up giving him one of those little sissy handshakes, and he just crushes you with a very slow and very painful handshake.
That's why when he walked out of the room after our meeting, I just waved to him. I said, hey, stay healthy, Vincent. David Fritsch goes in motion. Klingler tried to get it to McGee, who's been quiet today. And that pass looked like it was a little bit early and has Klingler shaking his head. You know, Vincent Brown also writes poetry.
Right.
And a very good aspiring poet. And he had a scary injury a couple of years ago, and here's what he wrote after that.
Really thought he was going to be paralyzed. Actually had lost feeling in all his limbs for a couple of minutes, and after he finally regained the feelings and some tingling in his toes and now able to play again, it inspired him to write a little poetry.
Blitz coming up the middle. Klingler finds Query for a first down. So Klingler breaks the string of 7 straight incompletions, and he does it under duress.
I really like Jeff Query as a wide receiver. He's a tough young man. I've seen him make some good catches over the middle this year, and again gets those hands up, makes a good hands catch, and then stretches for the first down. Not a very big guy, only 165 pounds, but he's proven to me this year that he is certainly willing to go make the tough play over the middle.
He went to Millikan College in Illinois. those football factories. Complete to the 40-yard line. A flag comes in late on the far side of the field. It's McGee, the tight end, in front of Vincent Brown.
Patrick Robinson and Rod Smith were tangled up at the top of the field, and they're going to get a hold against New England. So once again, those two guys going at it. Now, one of the big problems the Bengals have had this year is David Klingler has given his options. Unfortunately, if he takes the penalty here, he has to give up a completion, and quarterbacks never like to do that. One of the big problems they've had is just simply pass protecting.
Holding by the defense, number 22. The penalty is declined, brings up second down.
And he didn't give up the completion, so that's good. But just pass protecting long enough to run some of the deeper patterns down the field. The Bengals offense has really been limited to some of those little 7- and 8-yard throws because they can't protect long enough for the receivers to work it down to that 15- and 20-yard range.
He's going to change the play here at the line of scrimmage on 2nd and 1. Harold Green probably will have about 1 yard, which should be enough for the first down. Todd Collins hit him immediately. Also, Tim Goad, the nose tackle, used to be represented by the same agent as Bruce Kozerski. Goad had an interesting comment when we met with him yesterday. He said, unlike previous years here in New England, late in the year where we've been out of the playoffs, etc., said guys were just biding their time. You could see it in their eyes, waiting for the offseason to come. He said this year everybody's raring to go during Wednesday and Thursday practice. He said you wouldn't know we've only won one football game, and he gives a lot of that credit to Bill Parcells.
Game by the offense. 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
That pretty much sums it up for David Shula.
It's tough because they're not good enough to make those kinds of mistakes. You just can't put yourself in first down and 15 situations, and Dave Shula knows it. This is a team that, see Jimmy McNally, the offensive line coach, walking into the picture. You just can't beat yourself, and they've done a pretty good job of that throughout the course of the season. A +4 turnover ratio. They've kept themselves in ball games.
Just nowhere to run. Andre Tippett was there, but give Goat credit in the middle, and John Washington, Mike Pitts, they are just stuffing the line of scrimmage. Vincent Brown has stepped up. There is the elder statesman for New England.
And what a great player Andre Tippett has been over the years. 5 times a Pro Bowler. No question he's at the end of his career now. He's not going to be able to play much longer. But Bill Parcells was so impressed. Here's a guy that obviously his legs beginning to give away, but he says he never misses practice. Always out there, always a great leader.
All-time sack leader, 5-time Pro Bowler. Well, David Klingler threw it deep. That time, Query was covered very closely by Maurice Hurst. Hurst signed a 1-year contract at the beginning of the year. He turned down a longer, bigger money contract, and Bill Parcells says we have to have him back next year.
No question about it. Maurice Hurst is a real player in the National Football League. He's there with Jeff Query, and if the Patriots are going to take the next step, they need to get their ownership situation intact, because they have to sign guys like Maurice Hurst and Bruce Armstrong. They're going to be the cornerstone of this franchise.
Derek Fenner making people miss. Close to midfield and close to a first down. Corwin Brown made the tackle, an advance of 17, and that was one of the better plays by the Bengals today offensively.
Clever little slip screen there by the Cincinnati Bengals, and Derek Fenner doing a nice job with the sidestep move. They're going to be about a yard short, and there's no question here on 4th down. The Bengals, as inept as they have been on offense so far this afternoon, have to go for it here.
Clemani sidestep, Vincent Brown. Shula has seen improvement the last couple of weeks. Big play here. Fenner, first down. Brown came over the top, and Fenner took the subway. And Fenner's hurt.
I think he's holding his wrist. It looks like he may have come down on the really a clever run by Derek Fenner. He tried to jump over the top. It wasn't there. Came back, regained his balance, and then lunged for the first down.
4 minutes left, third quarter. Patriots pitching a shutout. Well, they have struggled in the second half. They've really struggled in the third quarter this year. David Shula's team has just 15 third quarter points this year. By the way, Derek Fenner apparently okay, jogged off the field. 1st and 10 for the Bengals at the 47-yard line of New England, trailing 7-0. Play number 11 on this drive. Harold Green, look at this. Query is covered downfield. And Klingler will make a positive out of a potential negative. He'll get about 7 yards. That was an interesting flea flicker because Harold Green held the football for about 5 minutes before tossing it back, but they did a great job on Jeff Query on the post pattern.
Yeah, this is a play that you like to fool around a little bit with the football the way Harold Green did, just to bide some time for your receivers to get down the field. But I thought that was a great play by David Klingler to just not throw it up for grabs in this situation. So many young quarterbacks are going to do it. Everybody was clearly covered down the field.
Deion Lambert, the free safety, was not fooled. Harold Green will be about a yard short of a first down at the 38-yard line.
Can you imagine how much aspirin Harold Green goes through in a year? I mean, he runs up into that line of scrimmage, and there just are not any holes. Here's a guy, and you can't really say, well, it's Harold Green. Harold Green last year went to the Pro Bowl, rushed for 1,170 yards, the second highest in Bengals history behind James Brooks, and now averaging under 3 yards per carry.
Big play here again for Cincinnati. They go play action. Klingler looked like Boomer Esiason on that fake. For Fenner, overthrows a great coverage all down the field for New England. Todd Collins, a linebacker, running right with Derek Fenner. And that was a great play fake.
Also a good job by Corwin Brown, the rookie strong safety, staying back and maintaining his assignment. I'm sure as a safety it was very difficult to find the ball on that play, but he stayed right with Jeff Query and really left David Klingler nowhere to go. David Klingler should have run for the first down there, though. He only needed about a yard.
4 down territory for David Shula and the Bengals. They need about a yard and a half here. 3 tight ends. Fenner met in the hole. He won't get there. Vincent Brown. Not heavily recruited out of high school. So out of Georgia, he ended up at Mississippi Valley State. But boy, can he ever play.
There's cause for celebration. It's the opening of the latest ITT.
The stakes are mile high as Montana meets Elway in one of the biggest games of the season. Next on NBC.
The staple of those great Giant teams in the 80s under Bill Parcells was defense. This man can really play defense. Vincent Brown, in the last 5 quarters, they've been terrific.
Absolutely. Haven't allowed any touchdowns, any points at all since the second quarter against Pittsburgh last week. 9 tackles on the day for Vincent Brown.
Bledsoe hands off, and Cincinnati's turn to play D. Kevin Turner swarmed under. And again, Tim Crumry in the neighborhood. George Hinkle, 98, also there. Crumry is going to need a wheelchair to get himself to the plane tonight.
And a little bleach for that uniform. He's always the dirtiest guy, whether it's in the game, whether it's in practice, it doesn't matter. He's not happy unless he has a little mud, a little blood, the whole routine.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, he's a triathlete in the off-season to stay in shape. Can you imagine him riding a bike? That's a frightening thing. That takes up traffic. That causes rubbernecking. 39-yard line. Turner picks up a couple. John Copeland, the number 1 out of Alabama, playing on a gimpy knee.
And he's always played the run very well so far this season. We talked with Ron Lynn last night, and he said just before he injured his knee, he really had begun to show signs of being a pass rusher as well. But then, of course, the knee injury, now he's coming back, a big athlete, very tough athlete, part of that national championship team at Alabama.
They've been successful on 3rd down, 6 of 12 today. They need 10. Bledsoe goes to his backside receiver, and Vincent Brisby couldn't pull it off the grass, so 3 and out for New England. And Cincinnati has a good series defensively.
Daniel Stubbs got the pressure that time, made Bledsoe throw it a little before he wanted to. And Bill Parcells, he's very open about this football team. He says, I've got a pretty good offensive line, pretty good group of running backs. We're just waiting for our quarterback to grow up.
And to find a kicker, he said also. Mike Saxon. So many good years with Dallas. Under pressure, and he gets away a short punt. Patrick Robinson grabs it, and he'll get 2 or 3 yards to the 34-yard line. David Bavaro, brother of Mark, made the tackle on special teams. Coming up next on most of these NBC stations, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. It's a great one. Kansas City and Denver in an AFC West battle. John Elway, Joe Montana. What could be better than that? That's coming up right after this on NBC. Of course, if Kansas City wins at Mile High Stadium and the Raiders were to lose today, and Kansas City would clinch the AFC West.
You think Joe Montana's earned his money this year? What a difference when he's in the football game for the Kansas City Chiefs as opposed to David Craig.
How about the guy we saw at halftime with the juice, Marcus Allen?
Not bad either.
Here's a misdirection. Fenner slips as he tried to back out of the hole, and there is no longer grass there in the middle of the field. That is just mud.
Derek Fenner almost looking like he was anticipating getting hit as he ran into that hole, and you can see they took up the artificial surface in New England and put down the grass, and I promise you the players would rather play in the mud on the worst turf field in America than play on that artificial surface. Boy, was that a tough surface to play on here in New England. When it got this time of year and started to freeze, almost impossible to play the game.
40 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Loss of 5 after the play by Tim Goad. Klingler to Fenner, and he can't hang on. In between the drop of the 2 inside linebackers.
And here's the problem for the Bengals and for David Klingler. Even on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quick set drop, get rid of the football, David Klingler's still going to take the shots. This Bengals offensive line has been playing a little bit better of late. Probably the past 3 or 4 games has been their best efforts, but they really need a stud up front, somebody to build this offensive line around.
Klingler is going to be sacked. Back at the 18-yard line, Dwayne Sabb, who continues to come on, made the tackle, and also Mike Pitts, 93, in there.
Got just his first sack of the season last week against Pittsburgh, the 2nd of his career, and then today comes up with his 3rd. As Bill Parcells told us, he's starting to get it. He doesn't get it yet, but he's starting to get it. But he got Klingler on this one.
Well, he got a little bit more there. He got about 220 pounds of Klingler.
Probably played his best game of the season against the Steelers last week.
3rd most of Massachusetts here. Klingler unloads, and it falls harmlessly to the ground. Wesley Carroll was the nearest man in white. Terry Ray was closer to the football, the nickelback.
Wesley Carroll didn't seem to be too interested in diving for that one. There was a crowd of defenders around and very casually let it just bounce off the ground.
One of those, who me? Was that from me?
Yeah.
Did you ever have any of those, Chris?
A few.
Just a few. Lee Johnson will punt it. Ronnie Harris, in his 2nd NFL game, will return it. He did a nice job in the second half against Pittsburgh. From the 24, flags come in, and Harris goes down at the 37. That is in the area of an illegal block downfield. Punt of 56 yards, a return of 13, pending the outcome of the meeting with the officials. Bill Parcells was, we're not going to tell you who it was on our crew, but Bill Parcells was getting after a member of our crew about smoking.
Holding by number 22 of the receiving team during the return. 10-yard penalty, and the receiving team keeps the ball. First down.
Bill Parcells has learned his lesson and was reprimanding a member of our crew. We'll just leave it at that. Won't mention any names. We'll be right back after these messages from your local stations.
The cast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the NFL is prohibited.
Fourth quarter begins from Foxborough. Drew Goodman, Chris Collinsworth. The Patriots leading 7-0. Leonard Russell pirouettes his way for about 9. Check that. He got about 6.
And now comes the real challenge time for this Cincinnati Bengals defense. Your offense is just simply been inept. There's no other way to put it at this point in the ball game. You're frustrated. They've played pretty well defensively, giving up only one late first half touchdown. You're in a 7-0 ball game, but you've got to hang with it. Your team is just a touchdown down. Ron Lynn trying to encourage his troops because they're still very much in the football game.
You're one turnover away from getting even. Russell will have a first down and knocked out of bounds at the 35-yard line. 7-0 here in New England. Let's get an update from New York. Jim Lampley. Jim?
And we go to Philadelphia to see the Bills in trouble, Drew. This is the third quarter touchdown pass, 19 yards from Bubby Brister to Calvin Williams. The only score of the game. It's given the Eagles a 7-0 lead over a Buffalo team that has missed yet another Steve Christie field goal attempt. Bills in trouble in the fourth. Back to Drew and Chris.
All right, Jim, thanks very much. It seems to be contagious around the league. The offenses perhaps have taken the week off. The Jets 3-0 yesterday. 38-yard line for Russell. Another 4- or 5-yard gain on first down.
These Bengals defenders are going to begin to see number 32 in their sleep. They have just been attacking and wearing down and pounding into the middle. Steve Tovar must have about 15 tackles in this game because that's the only place they've been running, right at those two inside linebackers, Ricardo McDonald and Steve Tovar. What a load Leonard Russell is.
And on that lead play, Kevin Turner, the fullback, had a very good block. They have two good fullbacks, Turner and Sam Gash. Russell nearly lost the football and hangs on. James Francis.
James Francis went for the strip there, and he has been a pretty good player, but certainly not what they expected out of James Francis. Both he and Alfred Williams were taken in the top 10 picks in the NFL drafts during their respective seasons, and both of them have had their moments. They have shined on occasion, but really never have blossomed into the superstars that I think this organization hoped they would be.
Bledsoe, great protection, and then makes a poor throw. Sam Gash out of the backfield was open, and Bledsoe gave one of those back foot jobs, and it angered Bill Parcells enough to rip his headset off. And again, folks, don't lip read unless...
That's part of it. Boy, I tell you, you keep the pressure on those young quarterbacks. He knows he's got talent. He knows that he can play the game of football, but he's got to go through the learning process, and that's what's happening again out here this afternoon.
He said, I don't read into the tone of the message. I just try to listen to the message. Patrick Robinson from the 10. He's fun to watch, but he's buried at the 18-yard line. Sam Gash, the former player for Joe Paterno, And the Penn State Nittany Lions makes the play on special teams. 12:23 to go. Fourth quarter, we have a flag down, and it'll be holding against the return team, the Bengals. So we'll see what happens after they sort this thing out.
Well, one thing that Bill Parcells has to be happy with has been the play of his defense and the great job
Holding by the receiving team is a post-possession foul during the kick. 10-yard penalty. Receiving team keeps possession of the ball. First down.
The great job that Al Groh, the defensive coordinator, has done with this defense.
7-0. New England leads it. Parcells trying to hang on.
Safe. The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Oldsmobile. By Generex with conditioners, the serious dandruff shampoo. By the Schick ST Razor, we're changing the face of shaving. And by Coca-Cola Classic, always the real thing, always Coca-Cola.
Good day to stay warm. That's one way of doing it. It is cold here in Foxborough, and the sun is starting to set behind the stadium. It will get cooler. To the 10-yard line, Harold Green picks up about 5 yards. In 4 games this year, Cincinnati has gone without a touchdown. They have just 10 touchdowns on offense all year long in 12 games, now 12 and 3/4 games. And they have their best receiver back in Cincinnati in Carl Pickens. He has a foot injury. And Eric Ball, who scored one of their touchdowns, one of their 2 rushing touchdowns, is injured and unable to go. Green for a couple of more, but several yards shy of a first down. Tim Goad made the play defensively. Al Groh's a defensive coordinator. He came over to New England with Bill Parcells after a number of years in New York with the Giants.
And here comes a big moment in the football game for the Cincinnati Bengals. Clearly, they don't want to make a mistake down here on this end of the field, but they also have to begin to open it up. Only 11 minutes now remaining in the football game.
Cincinnati just 2 of 12 on third down. Klingler has a first down. Good pass. Jeff Query. He's fearless. And as Chris mentioned earlier, he weighs just 165 pounds.
Took a good shot there from Dion Lambert, who's filling in for Harlan Barnett at the safety position. But Jeff Query really is not afraid. And when you play in the National Football League at 165 pounds, you're constantly having to prove that you're a tough guy, that you're willing to make that catch. And Jeff Query has done it all season long.
Klingler, the out pattern was there, but he short-armed it to Patrick Robinson.
Sometimes this season, David Klingler is, boy, they've got another player down. That's the big Tom Scott, I believe, their offensive tackle, who's played so well here in the past few weeks.
He's a rookie out of East Carolina, weighing in at about 350. While they work on Scott, we'll step aside for a moment. 10:30 to go, fourth quarter. 7-0 New England. Just a couple of moments ago, Tom Scott, and even though he's not putting a lot of weight on the leg, it is good to see him applying some weight. So he is replaced in the lineup at left tackle by Donnell Johnson, another rookie. Klingler somehow gets it complete. His tight end, Tony McGee, reached down to his ankles and made the catch. Vincent Brown made the tackle.
Good job hanging in this time by David Klingler, and an even better catch by Tony McGee. Scoops it up off the turf. Boy, he had a huge Rose Bowl game last year and really upped his draft stock. Had about 117 yards receiving in that game, and he's really turned into a fine tight end for the Bengals.
He has 31 catches on the year. Fenner will get it to the 40, maybe the 41-yard line, as the Bengals began this drive at their own 5-yard line. Todd Collins, Dwayne Sabb there defensively. 9:40, clock moving, fourth quarter. The Bengals with the ball, but trailing 7-0. Their backup quarterback, we'll get to in a moment, is Jay Schrader. Now, Jeff Query is down.
This is rough here.
Yeah.
Now, they simply cannot afford to lose Jeff Query. They've already left Carl Pickens, their other starting wide receiver at home, and we've seen Jeff Query making plays constantly today. We certainly hope that he's okay.
Lurgents, and they make lures for fishing.
It's a family company that's been manufactured.
Jeff Query is okay. That is Jay Schrader, the veteran quarterback, and he had a very frightening moment a few weeks ago, Chris.
Yeah, he sure did. His son Chris was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and almost remarkably, it ended up being benign, and he's going to be okay. He's had the stitches removed this past week after the surgery, and boy, I tell you, what a wave of relief over the entire city of Cincinnati when we got that news.
And Chris got a game ball after the victory over the Raiders. Derek Fenner plugs ahead for a couple of yards, and it'll set up a 3rd down and 4 or 5, which over the past few weeks has been pretty manageable for Kenny Anderson and his offense. They'll need to convert here.
And the good news for the Bengals, Jeff Query back in the ball game now. He popped up off the turf and started running in place immediately, I think wanting to send a signal to Dave Shula that he was okay and ready to go back in. And I would imagine they'll be looking for him on this play.
The only problem is Query's not sure where to line up. And the play clock is winding down. Blitz coming. Incomplete. Query was the hot receiver, but Klingler cannot connect with them. And the Bengals will have to punt the football back to New England, trailing 7-0 with 8:41 to go. The Patriots defense remains solid.
We really need to emphasize that. It's very easy to put down the Cincinnati offense. They have struggled this year. But this New England defense showed what they were made of last week against Pittsburgh, and they've picked up right where they left off from a week ago.
Lee Johnson or Ronnie Harris. And this is a returnable one. Harris, 25 with a bit of speed. And he's annihilated about the 35-yard line. Punt of 32, return of 10. And we're in the holiday spirit here at NBC Sports, and Chris has compiled a Christmas wish list for the Patriots, complete with music.
The favorite phrase for Bill Parcells is he wants guys that have got it. You know, so he needs more guys that got it. He also obviously needs a field goal kicker, and he would like to see 20 more pounds on Marshall Faulk to make him a no-brainer first-round draft pick, some contracts for some key guys, and maybe an owner with cash and a desire for a big gaudy ring.
Leonard Russell continues to pound away. Now, we have not forgotten about the Cincinnati Bengals. Here is their Christmas list.
Well, no question, they need some help on that offensive line, maybe a speedy receiver to stretch the defense a little bit. A fountain of youth, perhaps, for Tim Crumry to keep him around. We've got some problems with the practice facility as well. The EPA is in there about once a month to check the air conditions. And I just threw in a mascot like Shotzi at the end. That one will probably finally get me run out of Cincinnati.
I like Shotzi. Very few things about the Cincinnati Red organization. All right, Shotzi is not here, but Leonard Russell is, and he has been terrific today as he approaches the century mark.
Well, he's been the big dog for the Patriots this afternoon as he continues to make contact about the line of scrimmage, but that only starts the adventure because Leonard has just kept pounding and driving those legs all afternoon, and really has come up with a very consistent effort for Bill Parcells.
99 yards for Russell on 26 trips. He had a conversation with Parcells in the weight room before the season got going, and Parcells said, "Can you give me 15 good carries a game?" And he said, "Coach, I can give you 25. And Bill said, "I don't want 15 good carries and 10 lousy carries. I want 15 good carries." Parcells, ever the motivator. He comes up with nicknames for his players. And as hard as he is on his players, he is also a player's coach. And we'll reflect on that in a moment. Again, it's Russell, and he has 2 or 3 yards before Tovar and Mike Fryer and Rico McDonald made the stop. Third 100-yard game of the year for Russell, as he's now at 101. But Parcells is really, you can be tough and likable, and he embodies both of those qualities.
Yeah, he really does. You know that the players have great respect for him, and we asked some of them yesterday about it, and he said, they said, well, he kind of came in about what we expected. We knew he was going to sit down with us and chew us out on occasion, but he's also developed a great team atmosphere here in New England.
Timpson crosses in motion, 2nd and 8. Bledsoe looking for it all. And he's over the head of Vincent Brisby.
You know, Drew, what might be happening here? We have now seen David Klingler overthrow 2 bombs, and now Drew Bledsoe overthrowing a bomb. The wind is blowing in this direction. And I would guess by looking at the flags about 20 to 25 miles an hour. And I think once it gets up in the jet stream, it's just taking off. Great move that time by Timpson, just going the arm over, or Brisby, excuse me, and wide open on the field. But you can see the wind. It has really been a factor in this game.
Bledsoe incomplete. Rico McDonald had the great coverage on Coates, and then a flag comes in. Maybe the coverage was too good.
Well, that's a tough call right there on the Bengals defense on 3rd down. You've got them stopped. Give your
Pass
offense.
interference by the defense, number 56. Automatic 1st down.
Give your offense another chance, and, well, you hate to give them an extra set of downs. Right there, no question about it. The hold by Ricardo McDonald, a good call by the official.
Bledsoe really would have had trouble fitting that in there anyhow. Bledsoe in this half is 0 for 4 after being 10 of 17 in the opening 30 minutes. 3 more downs now, or 4 more downs for New England from the 44 of Cincinnati, leading 7-0. Play in the backfield on Russell is made by 58 Alex Gordon.
Alex Gordon was the number 2 pick of the Jets a few years back. Has bounced around, was plan B to the Raiders, then picked up by the Bengals. And he has made some plays like this during his career in Cincinnati. Went to the University of Cincinnati, so he's back home again and very comfortable. James Francis has had some injury problems in the past, and Alex Gordon has always been able to come in and do a very good job.
The clock is the ally of the New England Patriots. Inside 5:45 to go. Bledsoe turns, hands it off again, just 2 yards for Leonard Russell, and the crowd begins to boo as Fernandez Vincent makes the tackle. But Bill Parcells is used to boos. He says the media's kind of tough up here in New England, but nothing like the New York area.
But he knows that the media can also work against your team both when they're playing well and poorly. Obviously, they're going to get down on your team when you're playing poorly. But he said they also, when you begin to play well, start praising various players, and there may be some resentment on the team. So you have to know how to play it both in good times and in bad.
Bledsoe has a screen set up and a great play reacting by Alfred Williams. And that is the first time today that we've called Williams' name. And that has been the problem with Alfred, their former number 1 pick out of the University of Colorado. He has made plays. Last week he had a safety of Steve Young in the end zone, but they've been inconsistent, too far between plays.
I think Bill Parcells is very happy with this situation. 4.5 minutes to go, punt the football, make this Bengals offense go 90 yards against you. Certainly there have been no indications that they have the ability to do that so far in this game.
Saxon's going to have to be a wizard to get it away. That's live. Cincinnati with great field position, 30-yard line.
Wow. You have got the game completely under control. Almost no way Bill Parcells can lose this football game. All you have to do is snap it, catch it, punt it, put your defense on the field, go home, celebrate, enjoy the win, and instead you get that.
4:07 left. The Bengals with a new life.
Recently,
Snap was just a little bit off to the left, but Mike Saxon has to make this catch. It just went right through his hands, and now a great opportunity for the Bengals. Saxon picks it up. It's blocked, and if the Bengals could have gotten on this football, could have tied up the ball game. And Bill Parcells, with his reaction when Saxon comes off the field, saying, "What happened, Mike?" But Mike Saxon is also injured. Could be a factor if this one goes to overtime.
A couple of yards straight ahead for Harold Green. Todd Collins made the play. And the clock moves inside 3:55 to go, and Green a little slow to get up.
Well, here's the ball game now. Under 4 minutes in the ball game as they're working on Mike Saxon. The Cincinnati Bengals offense hasn't been able to move it all day. They get a break, have it inside the 30-yard line. Have to be able to convert 4 down territory from here on out for the Bengals.
Query and Patrick Robinson in the slot to the near side. They hand off. Harold Green, with more running room than he's seen in a while, has the first down across the 20, out of bounds at the 18-yard line.
Good hard run by Harold Green that time. He put his shoulder and head right into the defender, almost slipped coming out. Now watch the contact here. Just barrels over the defensive back on the play.
That's Maurice
Hurst.
Yeah. Hurst is going to get credit for a tackle probably, but he was the recipient of the blow. Shula looking down at the plays. Kenny Anderson will make the calls. Robinson to the 6-yard line. Quick slant in. Corwin Brown held on. Patrick Robinson had thoughts of the end zone.
But here's where the Bengals have really struggled. And Bill Parcells has to be just about ready to pull his hair out in this situation. I mean, this game was under lock and key. Absolutely over. All they had to do was punt the football, and now he's looking at a tie ball game if the Bengals can stick it in.
First and goal inside the 7. Green for 2.
They haven't been able to do it all year in the red zone, and a big reason why this offensive line just cannot get the push to move that defense back and open it up running. Whenever they score touchdowns, they do it through the air.
That's what I was going to say to you, Chris. The way they've run the football today, don't you have to almost throw it here on these next 2 downs?
Absolutely, and maybe get David Klingler out on the corner. He is probably your most viable threat running the football.
Klingler calls a timeout. 2:19 to go in the ball game, or at least in the 4th quarter. 7-0 New England, and after the Marv Cook snap that really should have been handled by Mike Saxon, and the punt that sort of got off.
You know, that's a tough timeout right there, too. Let's say that the Bengals don't make it in this situation. With 3 timeouts, you have the chance to boom, 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 hold them, call 3 straight timeouts, make them punt, get the ball back. And with the injury to Mike Saxon, could have been a key moment. Now the Bengals have to burn this timeout and don't have that same situation. They still do have the timeout at the 2-minute warning, but I think they're going to have to accelerate this process now and try to score quickly. You almost have to abandon the running game here. You almost have to be willing to say, let me get the ball in the hands of David Klingler, get him on the corner, put a little pressure on the outside, give him that run-pass option. And because inside, especially when Bill Parcells and Al Groh go to this 8-man front, almost impossible to run.
Slot to the near side again. Queries the slot man. Patrick Robinson wide. Harold Green gets the call. And he gets down to the 1-yard line. So it'll be 3rd down and goal from there. Todd Collins again with the tackle. Dwayne Sabb also there.
Just a big push inside, and we have a little drama between these 2 teams.
Finally, 2 minutes to go from Foxborough. Touchdowns on offense all year long with 2 minutes to go. Cincinnati is at the 1.5-yard line. David Shula needs a touchdown to get even with New England. And they've had only 2 rushing touchdowns all year long. Eric Ball has one of them. He's not playing. Estelle Miles has the other. He's not playing.
There's Vincent Brown. You know he's going to be in the middle of it if they try to power it inside. He's a big reason why the Bengals have not attempted many inside runs, or at least have not been successful between the tackles today.
The football is actually resting at the 2-yard line. Slot to the top. Harold Green, the lone setback. Harold Green. No signal. He's short.
Well, the Patriots last week were on the other end of this coin, the other side of this coin, 1 yard away. Bill Parcells opted for the quarterback sneak. They did not get it. Ended up just inches short of the touchdown and the win against Pittsburgh. Now we'll see what the Bengals choose to do.
Rather ironic, isn't it? This is for the ball game right here to get even. Maybe a foot away. He won't get there. The Patriots hold.
To question the play call, trying to go wide against this defense that has gotten all the penetration all day long. Rod Smith, the one that really stuffed that one up at the corner position.
And also they hand it to Ball, who hasn't played all day.
Coming off the bad ankle, sitting over there on the sideline the entire day on a sprained ankle, and then to be thrown in cold at the end of the game. I don't know.
Harold Green was the hot back.
But give this Patriots defense credit. They stepped up, and Rod Smith really made the play on the side. He attacked the pulling guard and stuffed it up and allowed the pursuit to get there.
And now the Patriots need to cover up the football.
Game's not over by any means now, as the Bengals will take their timeout. But now you get back to the situation I talked about earlier. Because of the fact they burned the timeout, when they get the ball back, it's going to be with like 30 seconds remaining as opposed to a minute had they not had to take that timeout.
1:11 left right now, and only 1 timeout left for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Don't forget Mike Saxon, the punter, was injured on that play. So now the debate is probably raging on the sideline. Who punts this football away? If there is a quick kick in the arsenal of Bill Parcells' offense, you may go to it here on 3rd down. In other words, go to it quickly so that you're going to be able to get it out of there. They're backed up on their own 1-yard line. You run the risk of taking the block anyway. Probably what is going to happen in this situation. You get to 4th down, Bill Parcells may opt to take a safety. Go ahead, bring it out, then bring your kicker onto the field and let him kick it away.
That might be the prudent thing to do, but they are a couple of downs away from having to make that decision. David Shula was about 6 inches away. Don't the New England Patriots know all about a few inches? Bledsoe stretches out his 6'5" frame. 4 seconds elapse, and the final timeout is used by Cincinnati. Amazing. And the one thing I question is Eric Ball carrying the football in that situation.
I agree. I totally agree.
Time now for the Hager Wrinkle-Free Cotton Super Play of the game. And it's the play you just witnessed a few moments ago.
Watch Rod Smith, number 22, stuff the pulling guard, forcing Eric Ball to cut it back up inside. The pursuit gets there. And the Patriots now with a chance to win their 2nd ball game, but there is still much to be played here. I really believe that you're going to see Bill Parcells just take one more play and then concede the safety, bring his kicker out onto the field, and kick it away.
Bill Parcells believes in winning with a strong and large offensive line. He is starting to acquire those players. He has 3 number 1s on his offensive line, Harlow, Armstrong, and Eugene Chung. The nucleus is there, and he believes in winning with defense. And boy, they have been terrific today. Again, Cincinnati cannot stop the clock. It is 4th down. And we'll see if Mike Saxon comes out and steps out of the back of the end zone. You can't afford to get a block here. 7-0 again is the score.
Well, now the officials have stopped the clock. I suppose while they were unpiling down there, that's exactly what happened. Now they've restarted the clock. Bill Parcells will let it run all the way down. You don't care about the penalty in this situation unless you want to punt it. I don't think that'll be an option. So they'll just let it run all the way down, be around 20 seconds, something like that. And then you take the safety on the next play, bring your kicker out on the field. It hasn't been easy for Bill Parcells, but he'll just let this one run down, take the 5-yard penalty, take the safety, and then give the Bengals their chance with maybe 10 seconds on the clock.
Delay of game by the offense. Half the distance to the goal. It remains 4th down.
You know, Parcells
also called a timeout. That's a first charge team timeout. It's a 40-second timeout.
That's what I was saying. Parcells had called the timeout, and I don't know if he was trying to call it with 1 second left on the play clock to allow a little more room for the snap.
Well, it really doesn't matter because I don't believe they're going to snap it to the punter anyway. You just take it back there, and I don't know if they'll let Mike Saxon do it or just let the quarterback do it, or perhaps even line up and just snap it out of the end zone, not even take any chance whatsoever on the exchange, because obviously a fumbled snap and a recovery by the Bengals, you don't want to get into one of those situations either. But now with only 21 ticks left on the clock, Bill Parcells in a little bit more comfortable position.
I'm not so sure about that. I think the way this season has gone for Parcells, so many near misses that he won't be comfortable for another 21 seconds.
They're bringing the punt team on the field.
See what they do. Coming up next on most of these NBC stations, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. Most of you will see the Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. Joe Montana and John Elway. That one should be spectacular. 21 seconds left. Saxon's in the game.
Remember, he's already fumbled once.
And that's exactly what they do. They snap it with Marv Cook into the mezzanine section. So it is now 7-2, and the Patriots will get a free kick. That play took 2 seconds. That was the only high snap that you'll ever ask for.
And one that you'll see applauded at home. Now you bring on your kicker, and Mike Saxon really looks like he's hurting. He's limping on and off the field.
You know what? I think you're absolutely right. Had they absolutely had to punt it, I don't know if Mike Saxon could.
And what a difference it could have been if this game had gone to overtime. Think about that. If the Bengals had scored there, taken it to overtime, and the Patriots didn't have a punter, the 2 punters today, Lee Johnson and Mike Saxon, have basically been the stars of the game, but the Bengals unable to get it in from the 1-yard line. A couple of weeks ago against the Jets in a similar situation for the Cincinnati Bengals, they went with the old Stanford toss it around, fumble, and lateral sort of play, and don't know if they're going to do that or just try to get it back to midfield and throw an alley-oop. See if we can pick up how Mike Saxon got hurt on this play as he tried to kick it. Got a helmet right on the knee. Looked like Darrell Williams or Leonard Wheeler gave him the shot.
I guess he's okay because they're not going to kick it. They're going to punt it. So, well, do you think Patrick Robinson will call a fair catch here, Chris?
I don't think so.
Robinson and Query, and Robinson drops the ball. And he is dropped at the 29-yard line. 13 seconds left for a miracle. for David Klingler and the offense of the Bengals.
Here's what you've got to do now, Drew. You have to have a pass that gets you up somewhere around midfield and get out of bounds that gives you the shot to throw the alley-oop in the end zone. They're not looking to throw it all the way down the field in this situation. You need about 20 yards to set up the next play.
And the Bengals, two-deep secondary, back about 30 yards here. Klingler sacked. Fourth sack of the game. 53. Chris Slade, who leads the team in sacks, gets number 8. The second-round pick out of Virginia, where he was an All-American. This one will count. Klingler throws it up for grabs, and there is the interception downfield. 23, Terry Ray hauls it in, and in the battle of the 1-11 teams, it's Bill Parcells and the New England Patriots going to 2-11. David Shula's club goes to 1-12, 7-2, the final.